to this week's live training, 7 things we've learned working with over 1,000 recruitment and search business owners. Again, if you're listening live, just give us live on Facebook. Give us write live in the comments so we know you're tuning in. If you listen to the replay, write the word replay as well. Just let us know where you're tuning in from. Again, if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes or YouTube, remember to get this episode first, to get all future episodes first, so to say. Remember to join the Make More Placements community over on Facebook. Join there. We go live every week in there with these live trainings, and this is the recording of that you're listening to. So look, let's dive right in. 7 things we've learned working with over 1,000 recruitment and search business owners across the world. So again, between me and Terry, we've had the unique benefit of working closely with a lot of recruitment and search business owners over the years. We've got to see, what really drives the successful ones, what really drives successful recruitment and search business owners in this industry. And what we found is that the really successful recruitment and search business owners, they're not any more intelligent than anybody else. They don't have a better service, not even necessarily better at what they do. But they do have a few sort of common traits and habits that we're going to sort of unpack 7 of them today, right? So I think it's probably going to be a topic that we're going to revisit because there's a lot of things that we can talk about when it comes to this subject. But we're going to cover 7 things we've learned working with over 1,000 recruitment and search business owners. Terry, anything you want to add to that before we dive in?
Yeah, it's a question I guess we get asked all the time when new clients join any of our coaching programs. They say, look, I really want to be successful. What is it that I need to do to ensure I'm going to be really successful? And interestingly, well, perhaps it's me on a personal level, some people think it's also academic qualifications and how well they did at school. And the better you did at school or college or wherever, the more likely you're going to be successful as a business owner. And there's nothing further from the truth. Quite frankly, absolutely nothing further from the truth. So I wanted to add that one to the ones that you said earlier, Drew. Academia has got nothing to do with it. I go so far to say I know some very successful but equally stupid recruitment and search business owners. So I can promise you it's got nothing to do with academia as well.
Awesome. So let's dive in. So number 1, Terry, is I'll read them out, Terry, and I'll come to you for your thoughts on them. Right. So number 1 is most business challenges are personal challenges that present themselves in business. So most business challenges that you face right now are just personal challenges that present themselves in business. Terry, can you explain what we mean by that?
Yeah, the one that comes to mind, I just got off the call to this very same thing, where I'm talking to a recruitment business owner based in Holland, and his challenges is about the fee that he gets, and his belief is it's to do with the market that he's operating in and the country that it's operated in. His argument is that nobody in Holland pays more than 15% for recruitment. I can honestly say that's complete and utter BS. We work with recruiters all over the world. The fee that you're getting has got nothing to do with the market. It's got everything to do with you. One of the things that's going on, by the way, you can't ask for any more in terms of fees than you believe you deserve. I remember some time ago, I posted something on LinkedIn, in fact, about somebody that had just got a fee to the value of £72,000. And the recruiter wrote in and said, that's scandalous. No recruiter's worth that. That in itself was a very interesting remark, because the recruiter that said that had no idea what the salary was, what the role was, or anything else. But in their world, no recruiter was worth £72,000, which is what, Drew? 80,000 US. That's more to do with their personal worth than the reality of itself. It's just one example that springs to mind. And it springs to mind because I've just got off the call with a recruiter in Holland. Give us another example, Drew.
Well, I think there's so many. I think if you look at your business right now, so if you're a recruitment or search business owner, listen to this, look at your business right now. I think any challenge that you have, anything that's going wrong in your business right now, anything you're frustrated with in your business right now is probably happening in your personal life too, and it's just representing itself in your business, right? So, Terry used the example there with the fee, right? The fee that you charge, or the fee that you accept, probably better language, is just your self-worth. If you're dealing with clients who don't respect you and don't value you, letting them walk all over you, you probably got people doing that in your personal life as well. If you're overspending in your business and not keeping track of your finances, you're probably doing that in your personal life as well, right? So business is just really a mirror of what's going on in your personal life, and whatever challenges or obstacles you're facing in right now in your business, things that are, within your control, they're probably happening in your personal life. And the point of saying this is that, what we find with the most successful recruitment and search personas that we work with, they come into our programs, as much as they work on the business stuff, a lot of the transformation that they get in business actually happens in their personal life, right? So they first work on themselves and then it reflects in the business as well. So whatever challenge you have right now in your business, if you can sort of figure out where that's presenting itself in your personal life and work on that, again, it will just translate to your business. Terry, does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Just you've brought up another good point there. We, often clients jump on the phone to us and they talk about but bluntly, their shitty clients or their shitty candidates. But here's the thing on that, by the way. How have you always been treated by your clients or the candidates? It's just a reflection of how you're allowing them to treat you. It really is as simple as that. And as Drew said, you'll probably do that in your personal life as well. And you're being treated in a certain way in your personal life. But if it's happening, you have to accept responsibility and say at some level that you're allowing it, even if you're just allowed to continue in that relationship. Because even if you argue, well, I couldn't say anything about it, Tom, I can get that sometimes. You can be sometimes lost for words, but you don't have to be in that relationship. You're the shitty client right now. That's your choice. You're in a shitty relationship. Again, harsh, but true. It is your choice.
Awesome. So it brings us on to number two. So number one is most business challenges are personal challenges that present themselves in business, right? So number two is your experience. When we say experience, I'm talking about years in the game, right? The number of years you've been in recruitment, the number of years you've been in business is not relevant to your success. So your experience is not relevant to your success. Terry, again, can you sort of elaborate on what we mean by that?
Yeah, it's a classic one. I've been in the industry personally over 20 years, and sometimes recruiters say to me, just think as well, Terry, what can you teach me? I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been doing this for 10 years. What complete and utter nonsense. There's no reflection to the number of years you've been doing it to how successful you'll be. Because consider this, you may well have been doing it for 30 years, but if you're doing it for 30 years the wrong way, what relevance is it to what you're doing now? And what I've worked with, Drew and I, we've worked with guys who've got zero recruitment experience, but they come in with a completely different attitude, what we call an open mindset, where they go, I know nothing about recruitment, but I'm here with you guys, so I want you to teach me. And these guys go on to be highly successful. And I think the other thing to add to that, they don't hold on to those, well, the only way you get business is through cold calling, or everybody buys on price, or my market won't pay retainers, and all the crap that many an experienced recruiter will carry around. And I want to be absolutely clear about it. I've been as guilty of that as anybody else, holding on to limited beliefs and stuff that, yeah, but in my market, this is what happens. Complete and utter BS. It's got no relevance how long you've been doing it to how successful you're going to be.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I don't care how long or how long you've been in the game or how experienced you are as a recruiter. So recruitment business owners is, if there are, with very few exceptions, if any, right? There are people with more experience than you, so more years in the game than you, who are performing worse than you are right now, right? That's a fact.
100%.
But there are also people with less experience than you, less years in the game, who are performing better than you are right now in terms of revenue and profit, right? So we always have to consider that, and I think be humble about our position, right? And Terry, I think you undersold yourself there. So I've been doing this for 13 years. So you said you've got over 20 years experience. I think it's probably a lot more than that as well.
IT, yeah.
So, but when you think about
I feel old.
When you think about it, I look at what we teach and what we share with recruitment and search business owners. What we teach now isn't the same as we were doing 2 years ago, let alone 13 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, right? So really, the experience really doesn't count for anything, and it's not a relevant factor in your success. And I guess what I want you to take away from this is one, if you are experienced and to humble yourself, but two, don't feel like you have to wait till you've got 10 years under your belt, 20 years under your belt before you become successful. If you make the right decisions right now, you can be as successful as you want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, really good point. And we often hear that. Yeah, I want to get a few years experience under my belt before I put my fees up. Nonsense. You can do it now.
Awesome. So number 3 is top performers never stop learning. Slightly linked to number 2, but top performers never stop learning. Terry, what do we mean by that?
Yeah, I remember reading the book, and Drew, I hope you can help me with this one. It's the title of the book, but the lady's name is Carol. Can't remember her surname either. Terrible, but she talks about the the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And she gives the examples where they did numerous studies on children who, and the growth mindset is, for example, if you've got children, they say something like this: oh, I can't do maths, or whatever the subject is. And as a parent, a responsible parent, you say you can't do it yet. And if you can acknowledge that you don't, that there's something you don't know, but you don't know it yet, and that's all it is. That's a growth mindset. Fixed mindset is, it's always that way. I've always been crap at maths. I just can't do it. Completely different mindset. But the advantage with the growth mindset, you open your mind to what we call the realms of possibility. I don't know it yet, but I'm open. There's some potential and growth in there. The fixed mindset, yeah, well, it's always that way. Clients always pay this price, in this country, it's always that way, and all the other stuff. Where you've got this fixed mindset that you just, nothing's going to change. It's, in my opinion, it's the biggest roadblock that stops recruiters from being successful, because top performers just think, hey, let's have a conversation because I'm open to learning even more, rather than the BS conversation we have. What can you teach me? I've been doing this for 20 years. What can you teach? What utter nonsense, really. You've probably gathered, I do find it a tad frustrating when you jump on calls like that and people are having that attitude, what can you teach me?
Yeah, 100%. And I think this links back to your experience. It's not relevant to your success. I think sometimes you get this from the more experienced recruiters, and again, it's something that we've probably all done, right? Ego gets in the way. And we think, we've been doing this so long, what can I learn about X or what can I learn about Y, right? And, it might be in recruitment, might be in any area of your business. But I think, we have to also appreciate, and this is one thing I can take from the top performers that we've worked with over the years, is that they understand that the industry is ever evolving, right? Things are always changing. New technologies come out. The market shifts, even people's mindset in the market shifts is all the time, right? There's always a better way. So I don't care what you've got working for you right now. Right? You've maybe got something that's working really well, maybe something that's working badly, right? There's always a better way to do it, or there always might be a better way to do it, right? And I think with top performers, they never stop looking for ways to improve what they're currently doing. They're always looking for ways to improve, right? They're always open-minded enough to accept that, yes, they may be experienced, yes, they may be good at what they do, but what if someone can give them a small tip that's going to make things work better for them, right? They're always open-minded enough to at least hear people out. And I think, that's one thing that I see hold people back. Consultants and business owners as well, like they have that fixed idea of how they want to do things, and they get, the way I word it is they get more attached to the how than the what, right? So they want this big goal. Right, let's say that it's to do £1 million or dollars in revenue, right? It doesn't really matter what the goal is. They've got this big goal that they want, and they've got an idea of how they're going to get there. And they're so attached to the how that someone can come along and show them the easier, faster way, but they don't want to listen because they're so attached. They're more attached to the how than the outcome. Terry, does that make sense?
Perfect sense, yeah. Perfect sense.
So moving on to number 4, in order to achieve extraordinary results, you must first violate the industry norms. So in order to achieve extraordinary results, you must first violate the industry norms. Terry, again, can you elaborate on what we mean by that?
Yeah, let's step back a bit. Here's some interesting numbers for you. 80% of recruitment business that's set up today will not be around 5 years from now. Only 20% will actually survive. Only something like, I think it's 2% will become a highly successful, a recruitment business that starts today will become highly successful and become millionaires. I think it's something like 8% will do reasonably okay, well above average, but okay. But here's a fact: the majority of recruitment business owners won't be around 5 years from now. But think about that, and then think about how most recruiters own. You set up in business, they say, well, I'm going to grow, I'm going to build a website. So let me look at my competitors' websites and see what they're doing, and we'll do something quite kind of similar. I'll operate the way that other recruiters do, look at what they're doing and operate pretty similar. But since the majority of recruitment businesses that set up today won't be around 5 years from now, it probably isn't a good idea. What we know with the real top performing firms, they deliberately and consciously violate the industry norms. And the client will say things like, hiring managers say, well, we never pay retainers to people like you. And the top performers say, well, we only work on a retained basis, as an example, or we never pay above 20%. And the top performers say, we never work below 20%. But they just look at what's going on in the industry and consciously look to violate it. Because only a small minority actually become highly successful. So if you're then copying and modeling what everybody else is doing, and the majority of those people won't be around 5 years from now, it's probably not a good idea. What else would you add to that, Drew?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think covered it well. It's just that, and again, I think it's almost obvious when you think about it, right? But I think sometimes people don't take the time to think. I have never, in all my time doing this, I've never met a recruitment or search business owner or come across a recruitment or search business owner who is, achieving extraordinary results, like revenue and profits, team size, whatever it happens to be, who's also doing, operating in an average way, right? It could be that they're doing completely different activity, right? They're doing, so whatever you're doing right now, they're doing completely different to the industry norm. It could be that they're doing the same activity, but they're doing a different volume, right? So just, whether you're making 50 calls a day, they're making, 100 calls a day, whatever it happens to be, they're doing, the volume is just extraordinary. Or it could be that, so sorry, he's got the activity is completely different, or the same activity, but the volume is different. Or it could be that they're extraordinary in how consistent they are. It's probably the most common, where they're doing that. They might be doing the same things that you're doing, but they're doing it on a regular and consistent basis, right? But I think, for your business, look at the way you price your services, look at your website that Terry said before, look at the way you market and get attention from your ideal prospects, look at the way you sell your services, look at the terms you use, everything in your business. One of the common questions we get is, how do I stand out? There's so many recruiters. You can never stand out if you're doing average things. Right. So look at everything you're doing and think of ways that you can do things differently. You can violate industry norms. I promise you that when you start to do that, one, you'll stand out to your ideal clients anyway, because you'll suddenly look different. You won't look like the average recruiter. But two, you'll start to achieve extraordinary results as well. Terry, does that make sense?
It's perfect sense. It reminds me just after the pandemic, as we came out of lockdown, because the world changed after that, didn't it? So we had a situation before that where most recruiters worked locally, but as we came out of lockdown, not just recruiters, most businesses said that sort of realized you can operate on a global basis. So one thing we found with some of the most successful recruiters, they're saying, yeah, I know I'm based in London, but why can't I recruit in North America? Why can't I recruit in South Africa? What was interesting that North Americans were saying the same thing. Yeah, I may be based in North America. Why can't I offer this service on a worldwide basis? Whereas many years ago, for many recruiters, you'd work on a regional basis. You'd work in your town or your county or your region or whatever. That's changed dramatically. And again, it is violating norms, because many years ago, that wasn't happening. And majority of recruiters would stay in their own country. We're working with Dutch companies right now who are recruited throughout the whole of Europe. And they're actually why not? But just looking to violate the industry norms. Take a close look. I promise you, take a close look at what's going on in your business. If you're not violating the industry norms, you may want to look at it and see what you can do to violate it.
Yeah. So that brings on to number 5. Number 5 is that you operate to your minimum standards, not your goals, right? You operate to your minimum standards, not your highest goals. Terry, again, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I've shared this story many times. We used to work with a client called, we'll just call him Martin for the time being. And his goal was to do $1 million a year. And he had 3 consultants in the business and he wanted to do $1 million a year. Well, he also shared with us, though, that his fixed costs, I believe, were 25,000 each month was his fixed cost. To do $1 million, by the way, he had to do 80,000 a month, but his fixed cost was 25,000. And he acknowledged at some level what was happening in his business is that, at the beginning of the month, he'd wake up in a cold sweat thinking, shoot, I've got to get to my fixed cost, which I think was 25,000 a month. And he realized that he would get to his fixed cost at that time, which was 25,000 a month. And then there would be a sigh of relief. And he acknowledged at some level, unconsciously, he was taking his foot off the accelerator. And very rarely would he get to 80,000 a month, because he was operating to his minimum standards, which was his fixed cost. And by the way, let me be clear about this as well. I'm not criticizing Martin. I would argue probably 80 to 90% of business owners do exactly the same thing and operate to their minimum standards rather than their goals. So they say, I want X, but they will settle for Y because that's their minimum standards.
Yeah, and I think it's completely normal. It's something that everyone does.
Mm.
Key to growth is to raise your standards, not to raise your goal, right? Setting the goal is the easy part. Say I want to do $1 million, I want to do $2 million, I want to do $10 million. That's easy. But to set the minimum standard based on your activity is the hard part. To say, right, every day I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this many calls and this many emails, get up at this time. You know, we all have these minimum standards that we operate to, and it's only when we raise our minimum standards that, you know, we actually get closer to our goal, right? And again, you can apply it to business like we're talking about now, but I think even in like your weight, right? You probably got, you know, everyone's probably got like an ideal, you know, a goal of how they want their body to look, but they've also got like a minimum standard of what they accept, right? And it's not, you know, we can go for the Christmas period, for example, you know, feasting, eating junk food, you know, not again, it's obviously contradictory to the goal we want to achieve, but it's not until we look in the mirror and it's like, right, we've fallen below the minimum standards that we snap into action again. I'm like, right, I'm gonna, you know, start eating healthy, I'm gonna go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. You know, the same is true in your business as well. And I think, you know, knowing this, or I think what I've found with the most successful people we've worked with is they're aware of this, right? And it's in a way, I'd say it's a gift and a curse, because they're almost never satisfied at the same time. They have these minimum standards that they can't fall below, and that's what drives the goal. Right, Terry, am I making sense when I say that?
Makes perfect sense. It reminds me of, I remember reading some time ago in terms of minimum standard. If you're a multi-millionaire and you've got, and the multi-millionaires, and they've only got, let's say, 3 million in the bank, they're hyperventilating that they've only got, say, 3 or 4 million in the bank, because their minimum standard is probably 15 or 20. Whereas for a lot of people, hell, having 2 million in the bank, and it's like, I've made it, things are great. The only difference between the two is their minimum standards. The multi-millionaire's standard is that much greater than that of many other people.
Awesome. Moves on to number 6. Number 6 is there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Again, we've, like I said, mentioned before, we've worked with over 1,000 recruitment and search business owners, most English-speaking countries. You know, everyone everyone that we've worked with has a different way of doing things, right? There's no one size fits all way to have a successful business, and everyone's, I guess, picture of success is different as well. You know, a few examples is be like, you know, we meet one recruitment business owner who wants to, their goal to do 200K a year. That's their vision of success, but then only work 2 days a week. Right, and that's their version of success, and that's their, you know, they're happy doing that. And then you got someone else who wants to do 20 million a year, you know, is happy working obviously a lot harder to do that, and that's their version of success. And the way they get to those two paths are going to be completely different. And you know, I think sometimes this links back to, you know, being prepared to violate the industry norms. Sometimes we can get in this sort of belief system where we believe that you know, to have a business that does this, it has to be this way. You know, I think, but one of the things that we really believe, and we drill into our clients, is your business, your rules. Set up a business that suits you and fits your lifestyle and fits what you want to achieve. You know, if you think back to when you started your business, you probably set it up so you could achieve freedom. Yes, financial success, but, you know, ultimately free. Most of our clients that come to us, it's freedom that they wanted. And over the years, over time, because we get caught up in this idea of how business has to be, we lose that freedom. We're doing things we don't like doing. We're doing things in a way we don't agree with, right? Think about your business, your rules. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to be successful. There's more than one model to have a successful business. What suits you? What suits your goals? What suits your family? What suits your lifestyle? I think that's an important thing to remember. Terry, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you've covered that. You've really covered that really well. Got nothing to add to that. Spot on. Yeah.
Okay, that brings us on to 7, the 7th and final one. And again, this is probably a topic that we'll revisit time and time again. So number 7 is your ability to gain the attention of your ideal clients and turn that attention into sales. And when we say sales, I mean for the right fee and the right terms, is far more important than your ability as a recruiter. So your ability to gain the attention of your ideal clients and turn that attention into sales is far more important than your ability as a recruiter. Terry, again, can you explain what we mean by that?
Yeah, so think about it. Let's say you are the best recruiter in the world, and let's say you've got the largest database of candidates, bigger than any of your competitors, all your competitors combined. And let's say you've got the most attractive fees, and you've got the best guarantee, and you've got the best process. All of it counts for nothing if your ideal prospects have never, ever heard of you. None whatsoever. We used to work with a guy called Sean. He's quite open about it. The process of recruitment in of itself, he didn't enjoy. The interviewing and finding the candidates, he didn't enjoy. What turned him on and got him excited was actually winning the business. And he used to joke about it. He says, "I'm a lousy recruiter." but I'm probably one of the best when it comes to getting business. I don't mean, just getting job orders, but he was a very good marketeer, and he was a very good networker as well. And he was great at getting referrals, but that was the key to his success. And the part that he disliked, he'd go through the motions and do it. But he always used to say, my success is, his argument was, if I can, he would do, his average placement was about 20,000. He was doing about three placements a month, every month. So he's doing about 60,000 a month. But the key to his success is that he could get in front of his ideal clients. His key to his success was that clients would come to him because they knew of him and because of his reputation. He did podcasts. He did regularly posted on all the different platforms, everything. Everybody in his niche knew who he was. But he would always joke about he was a lousy recruiter. Honestly, sales and marketing is the lifeblood of your business. It's the oxygen of your business. If you haven't got that in your business, you're always going to struggle. If you're reliant on referrals for getting business, which is a very reactive mode, isn't it? If you get the referral, you get business, but you've got no control in getting the referral. Think about it for a minute. But how would it be for you if you had some method of generating clients coming to you on a regular basis that you controlled? You had the process for doing that. Can you see the difference? Because now you can almost print money. You can decide how many leads you want, how many pieces of business you want, and how much you're going to generate each month and each year, because you control it. Yeah. That's the key to success of your business. What would you add to that, Drew?
Yeah, again, I think covered it well. Nothing really to add, just to say that, you could be the best recruiter in the world. I think the two things to focus on, are going to be your ability to gain attention of your ideal clients and then convert that attention. I think the better you can get at marketing and sales, and realize that once you become a recruitment or search business owner, you're in the business of marketing and selling recruitment, right? You're in the business of marketing and selling recruitment. Your main skill, your main asset is going to be the marketing and sales elements. How do you get your ideal clients to know you exist? How do you convert that attention into sales as well? I think the more you can focus on that, the better you can get at that, the more sort of time and energy you can spend learning, developing, and mastering that skill, those two skills, the more successful you will be, right? The delivery part is, don't get me wrong, it's very, very important, but it's probably the thing that is least out of the three, marketing, sales, delivery. It's probably the thing that's least important to your success, and probably the thing that's easier to get someone else to do, right? It's not hard to find good recruiters. It's a lot easier to find good recruiters than it is to find good clients, right? So if and even now we have clients who love the marketing and sales element, but they outsource the recruitment process. They outsource that part, and they just deal with the clients. But the actual finding of the candidates, they're not doing themselves anyway. But they're the ones making the most money, right? So again, just think about that. But yeah, look, that's all for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Again, this is probably a topic that we will revisit.
Yeah.
That's the list. There's things that me and Terry spoke about off air that we wanted to add, but because we said 7, we had to sort of cut. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, wherever. And make sure you're a member of the Make More Placements community. Again, just a quick announcement as well. We have a 2-day event coming up in May. If you go to makemoreplacements.com/MDX, you can see all the details there. Basically, it's called Market Domination X. We're going to be talking about or teaching you how to go from unknown in your industry, or just an average recruiter in the industry, to being the #1 recruiter in your field and dominating your market, right? So that's makemoreplacements.com/MDX. All the details are there, dates, times, and also the investment as well. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
No, just come and join us. It's 2 days. It's live. It's in London. It would be great to meet you in person. We're going to have some of our existing clients. They're going to come down and share some of the things that they're doing. That's in one case 7x his business over a 12-month period. So come along and join us for that. Thank you very much for joining us today, Drew. As always, thank you very much for your input. Until next time, folks, take care, take action, be relentless. Cheers, folks.